Hey everybody, long time no see. It's been a long time since I uploaded my last video, and I do apologize for that. I really wanted to make these a permanent part of my business, but admittedly, I somewhat ran out of gas summer, and I kind of needed a few months to recharge my batteries, kind of get my drive back. But now that I've got it back, I'm looking forward to kind of putting out more content regularly for you guys so that you can stay up to date with what's going on in the real estate market. I figured that the best way to get started would just be to do a market recap. I haven't talked about the market or what prices have done or what the inventory levels are like and what the general market's like in Halifax in a long time. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so if you follow the news at all, you're probably thinking that we're headed into a real estate market crash. But what I'm here to tell you is that none of the metrics that we look at to determine the quality of the market would indicate that the crash is coming anytime soon. So the main things we're going to look at, and I'm going to compare these numbers, I'm going to compare September's numbers to May's numbers because that would have been the last market update that I did. The average sale price for a home in May of 2022 was $559,475. Now fast forward to September of 2022, we are sitting at an average sale price of $498,174, down a whopping 11% from May. Okay, so that's just looking at average sale price. That's the big number that a lot of people fixate on. But to be honest, you can't really determine what's going on in the market just from looking at the average sale price. Another thing that we look at to kind of determine where we're at in the market is the number of sales in each month. Now, obviously we can't compare September of 2022 to May of 2022. Naturally, even in any market, you would have higher sales in May typically than you would in September. But we can compare September 2022 to September 21. And if we do that, what you'd find out is that in September of 2021, there were 580 homes that had sold in Halifax, Dartmouth. Now fast forward a year down the road to September of 2022, 371. That's a 36% decrease in sales year over year. Now if you were to look at those two things alone, sale price is down 11% and the number of sales is down 36%. Now if you were just to look at those two numbers, sale price being down 11% and sales numbers being down 36%, you would think that we are in desperate times and that the market is brutal. But that's not all we look at. The key thing that we look at in order to determine the state of the market, something called months of inventory. Now I'm not going to get into the months of inventory breakdown on this video. That's a whole video in and of itself. Stay tuned for that one. But basically, months of inventory is a way to describe the current pace of sales. You know, how many new houses are coming up versus how many are selling. When we look at these, we look at 4 months of inventory as being somewhat of a neutral market. When you hear people say it's a buyer's market, that would indicate something above 4 months of inventory. And if you hear people refer to it as a seller's market, that would imply that it's below 4 months of inventory. For the past year, up until about May of this year, we were sub 1 month of inventory, meaning that we are in a heavy seller's market. The conditions of the market heavily favored the seller. And that's obvious to most people, as most people were getting multiple offers on their homes and seeing them sell for a significant amount above the asking price. I don't have October's numbers, but if we're just to look 30 days back, currently today, there are 815 listings for sale. And in the past 30 days, there were 321 sales, which means that we have roughly, in the month of September, for the past 30 days, we had about roughly 2.5 months of inventory, meaning that we're nowhere near sub 1. It's not 3 weeks anymore. But we're nowhere near even a neutral market. It would need to be up around 4 months of inventory in order for it to be considered a neutral market. So still very much a seller's market, although conditions are starting to improve for buyers. One thing I did want to touch on though is interest rates. Questions I get asked the most right now are, what are interest rates going to do, or how much more is my payment compared to when I was pre-qualified a year ago? The point I wanted to make is that even though homes are less expensive than they were in May, they roughly still cost the same amount of money. And what I mean by that is when you buy a house, you're buying a monthly payment. You're buying a financial obligation. Let's use our average sales numbers for the months of September and also the month of May. to compare kind of what the affordability looks like. If I look at the $559,000 average sale price for May, and you were to look at that on a 5-year mortgage, 2.5% interest rate, which is pretty much what people were getting back then. Maybe they were even getting a little bit less than that. With 5% down, their average monthly mortgage payment is going to be roughly $2,500 a month. Now, if you take the average sale price for September, for $498,000, and you're to do the same thing, a 5-year fixed mortgage at 5%, which is roughly what people are getting now, the monthly payment on that would come out to be just over $2,850. So just under a $400 difference. So even though the house is less expensive, the payment is higher. Now granted, because the purchase price would be lower, you would have paid less deed transfer tax, you would have paid a smaller down payment. But I just wanted to kind of show that even though houses are selling for less money, they're not necessarily more affordable. So if you're somebody sitting back waiting for home prices to drop, you may want to reconsider that strategy. Because although home prices may drop, interest rates are for sure going to climb. And although you might get a cheaper price on the house, inevitably you're going to end up paying more money. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm pumped that I got the first one back out there, and I look forward to bringing you some additional videos either later this week or next week. Thanks so much, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.